All right, good morning. Hope everyone's having a great Friday so far. I did make a last minute location change. We'll see if this is any better, but there's construction going on, of course. And so there's a lot of noise in the background, but we'll see how it goes. And I've got some headphones, so hopefully it'll be okay. So I'm back. I took a couple of weeks off to do some behind the scenes system stuff. So today's topic is live today around business systems that scale is super time relevant for me right now. And I'm excited to talk about it, even though I'm really surprised, to be honest, because I put out the poll yesterday and I asked how many of you, what topics would you like, right? What topic would you like to talk about? Good morning, Ryan. And I had the Soulful CEO mindset, which I thought would be more popular, but actually what majority of you said you wanted to talk about and see was systems that scale. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And so this morning I put together just a little outline of all of the different things that I think we can talk about that will be helpful here. And I want to just start by saying I am not an expert when it comes to systems. In fact, I don't even like systems. My brain is not set up like that. If anyone's familiar with the emergenetic psychometric assessment, there's kind of 4 thinking preferences, and structural is one of them, which is more of a systems thinking approach. And then there's conceptual and social and analytical. And from a natural perspective, I actually really prefer conceptual thinking. So I like big picture thinking. I like kind of ideating. But what I know is that from my own entrepreneurial journey, but actually this goes back even further, which I'll share a little bit about, is that it is impossible to scale and do things beyond yourself if you don't have systems in place. So if you're happy just kind of doing things on your own and you can kind of have your own crazy system in your head or your Google Drive or whatever that is, then you don't need to talk about, you don't need to be in this conversation. But if you do want to do something beyond yourself, if you want to bring other people on board, if you want to work with and through others, having systems and standard operating procedures are important. And when I first learned about this actually was way back in my corporate career. And I'm going to share this story because a lot of you don't know my background. And I was working in a 3,000 person organization. It was a restaurant group that had 23 locations across Canada and the US. And I was in charge of doing the training and development there. So doing the leadership development, doing, some of the server training programs and things like that. And what I understood really early on was that you can have a really good idea. You can get enrollment and buy-in and people can be on board with that idea. But the rollout and the execution of it is 100% dependent on whether you have the systems, the structures, the tools for people to plug the idea into. Because if they don't have that, best case is it doesn't get traction, but worst case is that it does get traction and it gets distorted, right? It gets rolled out or implemented in weird ways, and then you have things that aren't working the way you want it to. So to apply this to the entrepreneurial journey, and I know many of you are solopreneurs just getting started or looking to kind of scale into your first 6 figures or multi-6 figures, is that, all the same principles apply, all the same principles to having systems, to change management, to looking at having tools that can grow with you so that you don't need to get stuck at the level that you're at. So that's why this conversation is actually important. And although it's not one that I'm naturally energized about, is I've learned to really love systems and I've learned to really embrace them, because what I know is that it's impossible to scale without them. And the reality is even if you do scale, if you don't have a solid foundation, if you've got kind of cracks in your systems, that those cracks or the things that aren't working now, wherever you're at in your business, are only going to get magnified and amplified as you scale. So for example, I have this client right now and she's just killing it in her business. And she's going to be pushing, probably beyond 7 figures this year. And her current systems aren't built for that. So she's just been putting in the legwork, the elbow grease up to this point, just working harder in her current system. But what's happening is that she's actually seeing where that pressure is not working, right? So things are starting to break down in terms of operations, in terms of being able to deliver the kind of experience she wants to deliver. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down this idea of business systems at scale into six. I was going to say 5 because I work with 5 in another area, but 6 business pillars that will help you understand, what to look out for and what not to look out for, or what to look out for and then what to implement. And what I will say is that, as I said, I'm not an expert in this area. There's lots of people who get off on systems and can help you implement them. That's not me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share from my own entrepreneurial journey, what I've learned when it comes to each of the 6 pillars in terms of business systems at scale. And then also what I would recommend if you are in that wanting to grow to your first 6 figures or just a bit beyond. So let's see, what do I want to say about that other than that? Okay. So let's start with the first pillar. So we're going to start with marketing and lead generation. So when we think of actually, why don't I lay out all the pillars ahead of time so you know where we're going. So we're going to talk about marketing and lead generation as your first pillar in your business to look at systems to scale. Then we're going to look at sales. Then we're going to look at your product and your product offer suite. Then we're going to look at operations and team. And then finally, then we're going to look at finances. And then finally, we're going to look at mindset really briefly because I am going to do a whole nother live on mindset. So we'll just touch on that really briefly. Okay, so let's start with marketing and lead generation. And if you're watching this as a replay, you can put in the comments any questions that you have along the way. I will answer them, or just DM me and I'll answer them about this. So anything that comes up for you as you're watching this, feel free to shoot that message to me. Okay, so why is marketing and lead generation important? Well, it seems obvious, but if we don't have a pipeline of clients coming down our way, we're going to run out of opportunities to make a sale, which means our business will die. And you'll continue to hear this theme when it comes to systems at scale. If we don't implement these things, the end outcome is that we actually don't have a business, and that sucks. So let's think about it early on so that we can implement systems now, wherever you're at in your stage of growth, that you don't have to get stressed out that, oh my God, I don't have leads coming in, or I don't even know where to get leads, or it's taking me so much time, energy, and attention to get these leads that I can't do anything else. So when it comes to marketing and lead generation, the biggest mistakes that I made along the way was, first of all, relying too heavily on referrals and my network. So that worked really well for the beginning because I did have an established network. I did good work. So when I worked with people, they were willing to share about it. But you will find if you want to scale, and sometimes you don't, you can totally build a business on a referral network. So this isn't about not being able to do that. That's about if you want to scale to the next level, you're going to have to create a bigger pond, right? You're going to have to create a bigger pond to fish from. And in order to do that, you're going to have to look at how to dial in your marketing and lead generation systems. So your marketing and lead generation systems need to be something that you can automate to some level, so you don't have to be in it all the time. And the other thing is you want to make sure that these systems actually convert to sales. So if you have people in your pipeline, if you're not leading them to anything that you can sell to, they don't know how to work with you. So this was one of the big mistakes I made early on, is I was doing a lot of lead generation or marketing. I was doing YouTube videos for the first few years in my business. Those took so long to create, to upload, to edit. And I didn't have a clear offer that people could say yes to right away. So it was like, yeah, I'd do a group coaching program or my one-on-one programs, but that was like, they couldn't get access to that for like months or something like that. So having a clear client journey in that respect, that you nurture clients all the way through to an opportunity to be able to work with you, is one of my big recommendations when it comes to creating a system that scales here. And starting simple. So I don't know if you're like me, but this is what happened to me. So many people are like, you need a free lead magnet, you need an opt-in. I started doing YouTube videos and all these different things that were kind of dissipating all this energy across a bunch of different things rather than dialing in one marketing and lead generation funnel to be able to work with and then expanding out. So my big recommendation around this one is to dial one in and then systematize it or automate it, right? So you're not having to do it your effort every single week doesn't need to be the thing it's relying on to keep it moving forward. Okay, so that's marketing and lead generation. Now let's talk about the second pillar, which is sales. So these two things are different, right? Sales is different from marketing and lead generation. We have to have people in the pipeline, but then we also need to have systems that can scale in order to sell. And again, why is this important? If we don't have this, our business is going to die. So let's talk about why we need this. So the one thing that I learned early on around this was that I was actually quite good at sales. It's like if I was able to get on the phone with somebody and have a conversation about coaching or programs or something like that, I actually was able to generally convert that lead. So when it came to my biggest learnings when it came to this was how to scale that, right? So rather than it just being me having a one-to-one conversation, if I really wanted to amplify my reach, I would have to learn how to sell when it wasn't just one-to-one. So one of the things I had wished I had done earlier was to get some support when it came to sales copy, like online funnels, online web design, all of the things that I didn't even know what I didn't know there. So really getting support by experts early on to help with this so that you can have multiple points where people can say yes to work with you. When you talk about creating a system that scales, if it's just the one-to-one, it's okay. Again, same thing with the marketing and lead generation. You can sell high ticket offers and do that totally fine. But if you're wanting to create a system that allows you to scale beyond yourself, you're going to want to get support where you can have multiple opt-ins for people to be able to work with you, not just in one-on-one conversations. So the other thing that I wish I had done earlier was to automate some of this. So there's some great tools out there, and I'm just going to recommend or say the ones that I use, but I'm not like recommending them or saying that they're the best. They're just the ones that I have come across. And you might want to think about how do you do this. So part of the sales process and what so many people forget is that it isn't just the yes. Right? So getting the yes is part of that, but then what is your onboarding experience for people once they say yes? How do you nurture them, take care of them through their experience with you and if you're a coach, through your package or through your consulting work or whatever that might look like. So having some sort of tool to help you with that is super helpful. So right now I'm using a software called Dubsado, and it creates projects in there and it allows you to kind of automate a lot of the pieces that would help you nurture your client from saying yes all the way through to when they're done working with you. So you can set up things like, emails that go out. You can set up action flows like sending a welcome gift. You can do things like setting up birth dates, so to remind you when people's birth dates are. So all of these types of things that are high touch things that help you nurture people through not only the yes of the sale, but the entire client journey. Because remember, our customers are not just they don't just happen in that one incident. Most often is that there's a lifetime value of our clients. So when we have another product, offer, or service that will fit them down the road, how are they going to think about us? Are they going to remember how we made them feel during their experience? So finding ways to automate that so you're not having to keep that front of mind for every single client is super helpful. So tools like Dubsado, also getting help with this one. So, this year was a year I was like, I am calling in support. I am done doing this all on my own. So I called in an amazing woman, Sharon, big shout out to you, who you do a lot of this work. You do a lot of the behind the scenes system stuff because, as I said, I don't really love it. So instead of trying to do it all on your own, get a really good tool like Dubsado and then get someone to work that tool, get someone to work it for you and with you so you don't have to do it all yourself. yourself. And then these little things seem really simple and basic, but they are important, and they actually save a lot of time, energy, and attention. So things like calendars and booking links and things like that. You'd be surprised how many coaches I connect with, and they're like, yeah, they just go back and forth in terms of their email to book something in. Oh my God, like that is a huge time suck. Find a calendar link that works for you. I've used Acuity, Calendly, right now Dubsado has one integrated into that. It honestly doesn't matter. Just find something that will allow you to leverage your time doing the things that matter and make more of a difference. Good morning, Sahar. Good to see you. Okay, so that is sales. So let's move on to, because I want to keep this within half an hour, onto product. So this one's fun. So how do we create systems that scale within our product? So this is a really, you have to think about this conversation in relationship to what are your revenue goals. So so many people, and I talk about this a lot in my program called Activate, is you need to have a business model, right? So you need to understand what are your revenue streams, what are you pricing those revenue streams at? And then how much volume do you want to / can you do of those revenue streams? So if you're doing one-on-one coaching, you want to think about that revenue stream. Yes, you can price it at a high ticket offer because it's high value, high touch, but how much can you actually deliver of that product? So in terms of volume, how much can you do? And when you create a business model around that, you can start to see, is your product offer suite scalable? And I'll share with you my big mistake around this early on was, when I was starting my coaching business, I, like many people, were just like, I want clients. I need to get clients. So, but I didn't give much thought to the long-term impact of that if I took all of my clients on as one-on-one. So there was one point, I think it was like a year and a half into me starting my business, and I was like really happy actually. I'm like, sweet, I have like 20 clients. I have like so many people that I'm working with, and my days looked like 5 days a week, back-to-back phone calls, one-on-one every single day. I was exhausted, and I actually wasn't making the kind of money that I wanted to make because it wasn't scalable, right? I can't work with and have the impact that I wanted because I was just doing the one-on-one work. So when you want to think about systems that scale when it comes to your product, you want to look at your product offer suite and looking at what are the different revenue streams. How do they work together? Do you have scalable offers? And scalable can be reach, right? So it could be like an online course that you could infinitely scale the reach of that. But you could also scale a one-on-one offer in terms of your price point. You would just need to make sure that you're offering enough value there that you would feel good about it. There would be a great energetic exchange around that so that you can make the sale. So let's talk about what I recommend here. Oh yeah, so this is an important piece around the product offer stack. When you start looking at it, is look at how your products work together. So as you take one product, start with it, refine it, dial it in, and then you can start adding on to your your product suite. But look at how they support one another and they take a client through a journey, because otherwise what can happen is your offers start cannibalizing one another. So you have offers, you have so many offers, and people are like, well, I don't really know like which one is for me, and why would I go into your higher ticket offer when you have this one and I don't know what the difference is. So if you're not careful about taking people through your journey, you can actually end up cannibalizing your signature, your soul work offer you'll hear me talk about. Good morning, Sharon. Hope you're having a great morning in Mexico, taking in that warm sunshine. All right. So let's move on from product. Let's see if I want to see if I have anything else to say about that. Nope. Okay. So we're going to talk about operations and team now. So that's the fourth pillar of the 6 pillars to scale your business. Now, operations and team, well, this is a huge one, right? And so often the biggest mistake I see people make around this one is they don't bring in help early enough. They think they can do it all themselves. And what you end up finding is that maybe you can, but your time could be better spent in other areas. So yes, maybe, and I'll talk about this in a minute because I'm going to share my own journey around accounting. Maybe you can do your bookkeeping, but is that where you're going to be getting the highest return on investment from your dollar? $100? Or could you be using that to coach someone, make 10 times the amount that you'd be charging your bookkeeper, and be able to scale the revenue of your business that way? So when we're looking, what gets in the way of most people hiring on team members is that they don't know what they need, and they don't know what they how to really guide or lead these team members to be effective functioning people of the team. So a big thing here is, one, get clear on what you really want. And this was a big learning for me. I brought on people as, really, kind of not high level VAs, and was like, okay, well, I'm not getting what I need. But that wasn't what they were hired on for. They were just hired on for some like help on the side. But then I realized I actually needed someone who was more of an expert in an area. I also had a business partnership at one point because I thought, okay, I can have a business partner to help me, scale this business. But then I realized I didn't really want or need that either. So it's important to understand is, what are you actually hiring for? So this is where Systems at Scale, creating role and responsibilities, job roles and responsibilities. Looking at, what do you need to delegate? What would be helpful if you had an expert to help you with something? So a really great way to do this, and you can get this actually in the link in my bio in the Soulful Business Plan Blueprint. There's a blueprint that has a matrix that has like on one axis and good at on the other axis. So what you'll find is that you've got 4 quadrants, and it'll be a combination of, do you like it and are you good at it, or do you not like it and are you not good at it? And based on that, the only things that you should really be doing once you start scaling your business is the things that you like and you're good at, because that is where you are going to be most effective in your business. Everything else you can look to get support on. But in order to get the right support, you do need to know what you're asking. So you need to know what the job description is, what exactly this person will be doing. And the biggest thing when it comes to operations, my biggest recommendation here is to create standard operating procedures every time you do something new. So whether it's onboarding a new client, is actually document what it means to take a client through from your sales call all the way through to the end of their package. Document all of those steps, because once you have that, then you can hand that off to someone else and feel really good that they know what they need to be doing in order to be successful in their role. So 2 things when it comes to team and operations is, look to delegate everything other than what you like and what you're good at. And then the second thing is, make sure that you have clear roles, responsibilities, and operating procedures for those people to follow so that they can be successful in their role. All right. So next one, so that was number 4. Next one is number 5. And number 5, the 5th pillar is finances. And so you would be surprised at how many people don't have a good grasp on the finances in their business. And this really comes down to taking on the mindset of a CEO. Even if you're a solopreneur, even if you're just getting started, you are the CEO of your business. No one else is. So you have to wear that hat. And so really understanding your finances, meaning how much money are you making? What is your baseline number when it comes to your revenue? Meaning how much do you need to be making in order to break even? How much are you spending each month? And then what is your stretch revenue goal? So these are the 4 elements of that business model I've been talking about, and you can access it in that Soulful Business Plan Blueprint. So go download that if you want to be taken through this. And once you have a handle on those numbers, then you want to make sure that you're checking in on them every single week. So this is actually something that from the beginning, if I were to say, okay, I actually did a really good job at something, financials would be one of them. And that is because, not because I'm good at them again, but because I asked for help really early on. So really early on, I got hooked up with a great small business accountant who uses a great bookkeeping software. And I loved his approach because he empowered me to use the bookkeeping software. So I really understood what all of my numbers were. And I tracked them every single week. And I still do, because I actually find it quite exciting. It's really motivating. By the end of the week, how much did I sell this week? What were my expenses? Where did money go? What are my goals am I tracking in terms of my goals for the month? And so taking on that CEO mindset and that wearing that hat when it comes to your financials, regardless of where you are in your journey, is so important. And then getting systems and support to help you. So systems like, a bookkeeping software or an accountant to help you with that. Even just like bank accounts, making sure that you have your bank account set up properly so that you can do tax planning and things like that. The biggest mistake though I've made around this is not letting this go soon enough. So I'm recommending that you understand and know your numbers and you know how to use your bookkeeping software and look at your profit and loss statements and things like that. And if you just hand that off right away, you probably won't know how to do that to the degree that you would if you dug in. But at some point you can let that go because to my point is now I'm at a place where I understand that I can look at my profit and loss statement. I don't need to be spending Sundays doing my bookkeeping at this point. So, there's times where you want to look at what point should you start handing some of this off, and you'll know, but that was my mistake, is holding on to this too long. So if I was to give some recommendations around setting up systems at scale when it comes to financials for small business owners, for people who are just getting started, or maybe you're not even just getting started, but you haven't dialed this in. First of all, get a tax planning plan in place. You do not want to be stuck with a huge CRA bill because you have not thought about that and you're just taking all of the money that isn't yours in and spending it. So make sure you've got a good tax plan. Track your numbers weekly. Keep an eye on those. It's super fun and motivating when you can see these, but you have to understand what you're looking at. And then the third one around financials is get support of experts. It can save you so much time, but also money, right? If you're wasting money or burning it in weird ways, your amount that you'll be spending to get an accountant will be paid for, easily. So that's the financial pillar, and it's one that scares a lot of people, but you have to dig in. If you're the CEO, you have to dig into that one and get help if you need help. Okay, and then the final pillar here is CEO mindset. So we've talked about the 6 pillars. I'm like looking at the thing, the 6 pillars of scaling a business through systems. And although our mindset is not necessarily a system, we can systematize scaling our mindset because we can only take our businesses as far as we have gone ourselves. So if we don't have the mindset to scale with our businesses, we're going to be thinking smaller than what our business needs us to be thinking. So I'm going to do a whole other live on CEO mindset. So I'm not going to talk about that today. I will do that. I think I have a guest coming on next week. So I probably won't do it next week, but I'll do it the week after. So let's just recap really quickly. So the 6 pillars that you want to think about when creating systems to scale are marketing and lead generation, sales, product, operations and team, finances, and then finally your CEO mindset. So as I've been referencing throughout the whole live, if you go up to the link in my bio, there is a 90-day business plan blueprint that takes you through a lot of these elements that we're talking about today, especially it's called a 5 pillars exercise, and you can look at how to actually diagnose some of the challenges that you're seeing in your business by using this exercise every month or so. It's usually what I recommend to people. The other thing is, if you want to dive into this even deeper, this is a topic that we get into in the 6-month Activate program. I will be sharing more about that to come, but know that we're opening that up in the next few weeks. And it's really exciting to actually be able to do deep dives into some of this stuff to set you up to build and scale a 6-figure and beyond business. So thanks so much for joining me this morning. I do good with time, 9:29. So it's so good to be here. And as I said, if you're watching this as a replay, which I know many of you will, if you have any comments or questions about systems at scale, just put them in the comments and I will make sure to answer them. All right, have a beautiful Friday, everyone. Bye.